Welcome to the Financial Rebellion podcast. I'm your host, Todd Romer. We started this podcast for two specific reasons. Number one, to inspire you to start a side hustle and make some extra income. Or perhaps take that side hustle and turn it into a full-time business, like some of our guests have done already. The second reason we started the podcast is because we're big fans of credit unions, and we have worked with credit unions around the country to help them drive awareness and new membership growth amongst younger generations. Frankly, with a credit union, you can do a lot of what we teach about money the Financial Rebellion way. So let's get into this episode of Financial Rebellion. Welcome to the Financial Rebellion podcast. I'm your host, Todd Romer. This episode, we are featuring someone from a place that I consider relatively like home because I lived there from, 2001 to 2016, Orlando, Florida. Kelly Shea, welcome to the Financial Rebellion podcast.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here today.
Okay, so want to tell our listeners and viewers some of the mission behind Financial Rebellion. As we're growing our audience, not just for the podcast, but we have a growing newsletter that is not a typical newsletter about money. It's called Financial Rebellion, and we help and are helping now thousands and thousands of people 18 to 34 and older become smarter about money, investing, and business. And our podcast here, we like to feature young entrepreneurs who are doing a side hustle, who are starting a business or have a legit business going. And Kelly, you fit that mold, and excited to bring you on. But before I ask you about your business, Innovation Station, icebreaker, tell us your best and worst money move that you made in the last few years or as recent as this morning.
Yeah, so I think first of all, I love what you all are doing. I've had the privilege of seeing a few newsletters, and it's awesome. So thank you for highlighting all of us. But when we initially talked and I was thinking about this question, my response might be a little lame, but I think something that I'm most proud of is starting a high yield savings account early on. I've worked since I was 12, 14, just started saving money. I'm a big saver. So I've been very privileged at my age to start kind of building up even more savings, right? And then I think my biggest mistake is not starting business credit sooner, right? Like taking out a credit card in the business, because I think we don't necessarily learn about credit as much as we should be. And it's scary. Like it's a simple concept, but in my head, I make it more complicated, right? So, I have my personal credit. My parents started a joint card, but I think, starting a business credit can be very beneficial early on.
Well, thank you for the comments about what we're doing with Financial Rebellion. And we talked off air a couple of weeks ago. And when I told you what we're doing, you were very excited. And so thank you for that. We're pumped. We're just beginning. We were like in the bottom of the first inning of where Financial Rebellion's going. And we love having people on the podcast like you, because I'll guarantee you're going to inspire young women, young men. It doesn't matter. Because they're going to hear your story of how did you start this business, and in the world that we live in financially, right? There's a lot going on. We hear a lot of people say, well, I can't afford this, or housing is, when am I going to ever get into a house? And so you're inspiring and will be others to go, wait a minute, I can create some extra income on the side, perhaps, et cetera, or start a dream. So, okay. Kelly, tell us about Innovation Station. And then I'm going to ask you how you started that, but just tell us about the business, and then I'll ask you a little bit more.
Yeah, so Innovation Station is something I started kind of, I'm sure at some point we might go more into my background side of things, but it's basically a series of kits that are hands-on, story-based, that promote critical thinking and problem-solving skills to elementary level through invention. We want to go back, get away from technology just for a second with that age range, and go back to, hey, if the table's wobbly, how do we fix it, right?
Invention. So you are helping younger minds from age. How early are you? We were talking about 7 years old.
So
What's the minimum?
actually, kindergarten, so like 5 through 6th grade is my primary target. So about 5 to 12 years old.
Invention, innovation station. And so I love what I'm hearing already. As so many people, young minds, right? They having four children myself. Um, we always heard about, yeah, the young child's brain is just sponge, right?
Yeah.
And they're just taking in everything and can be creative, and they're surrounded by, a family, a mother, father, and they're safe, and they're innocent in a way where they can start believing and dreaming and all that. So speak more to h- what are you doing in terms of the product. What is the actual product for these young people to start thinking about invention?
Yeah, so something that just to share a quick kind of my background is I was an elementary education major, but I did invent a product at 18. Personally, I didn't know how to read until 3rd grade. I struggled in school, and it wasn't until like COVID time I graduated high school, and kind of just started my personal invention career while also learning about kids. And I think through the process of a child's development, um, there was like kids, like how you mentioned, you're more innocent minded and you're a sponge. At age 5, 98% of kids show genius level imagination. But as you work your way through the school system, when you turn 21, only 4% still have that. Right. And so it's really interesting how it can impact your career. So I created these because I was very passionate about the problem solving and critical thinking. So they're very strategic in the way that the kits are set up. There's 4 kits in the series that build off of each other to teach this invention process for a younger age. They follow along 2 story characters throughout the whole series as well. So there's 4 books that they start to learn the concepts to also help with that socio-emotional learning side of things. So we tie in STEAM plus literacy. To start, Kit 1 is about understanding problems because so many people, and I'm sure you have this too, just in the financial world, is a lot of people jump to a solution and don't understand why they're doing it, right? So we all have to understand the problem first. And that's what we're trying to teach at a younger age. So in that kit, there's a guided inventor activity, meeting the kids halfway, where they actually learn how to reinvent an item. Kit 2, they also learn to reinvent, but gradually get less. That's about creating solutions. Kit 3, now free to roam. You come up with the problem and solution yourself, again, following along those characters to help guide. And then Kit 4, you actually cut the box up. We learn to recycle, reuse items, and you turn the box into a poster board to pitch your product. Do a quick elevator Shark Tank style pitch from a young age. So they really just build off into a greater thing.
Financial rebellion. We are excited to have people like Kelly Shea on. Kelly, you're hitting home with me because of my daughter who is 22. She graduated from University of Tampa, and we
Congratulations.
used to watch The Profit and Shark Tank together, along with
Yes.
my other sons who are older. And at one point, I want to say she was 13, 14, she said to me, probably on the way home from going to Sephora so many times, and I, she said, "Dad, I just think like there's all the ideas are taken. Like how there can't be any more ideas. They got to be taken. Everyone's got to, you know." And I said, "Hey, Mia, and it sounds like what you've done, Kelly, with what your kits are doing in the reading, is
Mhm.
you said what is kind of working in the world, but isn't that great?
Yep.
What's the problem with something that's maybe still in our world that can be better?" And I told my daughter, I said, here's how you get the brain going is the moment you wake up in the morning, Literally, from the time you wake up to get out of your bed, what is a little bit uncomfortable? Or you're like, ah, that's a pain. Could be in the shower, could be in the sink, when you brush your teeth, anything. Start in the morning all the way through the day till you go to bed. What
Mhm.
is it that you're like, well, that's kind of a pain in the butt? Or I could do that better. It'd be easy, right? So it sounds like
Yeah.
you've created this similar platform and product, correct?
Mhm. Yeah, 100%. And something that I did when building these kits, was I was really big on giving them a notebook, like as part of the kit. So an inventor notebook where they can start writing down problems they face, right? Just exactly like what you said. Because the beauty of invention, and I'll get parents come up to me all the time saying, oh, well, I actually don't think my kid's smart enough, right? Like, oh, this seems like a gifted program. Not true at all, because the beauty of invention is you're meeting them where they're at. They are creating for them. If you're thinking of invention as anything different, you're not thinking of it correctly. I do believe, like the newest apps, the newest technology, that's all amazing, but everyone has a different journey, and invention and inventing really can capture that in a unique way that I don't think is always seen, right? So there's a lot of advocating on that side as well, just like what you said.
Okay, tell us more about when I love the stories. Everyone has one, right?
Mhm.
And those watching and listening are relating to you. You said something about you had difficulty reading in third grade. And so share more on that. And when you're going through that, what were some of the things that kind of helped you along the way? That was a tough time. And what caused you to kind of burst out of that and go, okay, it's just on my own time?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think, so I grew up in a very competitive school district in Tampa, actually, in Hillsborough County. And although it was amazing and I went to some of the top rated public schools, again, it was just really competitive. So when you start to feel discouraged, you get less interested. That's just a fact, right? Like some people lean into it and they want to overcome it. But from a young age, you're like, oh, I'm not necessarily good at this. I'm going to move on. So I think that was something with my reading. And in school, I was very much into sports more than I was into school and academics. And so I just fell behind in my class. And something about Florida is they don't necessarily believe in leaving kids back anymore when they're struggling. It is a little difficult to advocate to hold a child back. It has to be the parent's decision. And obviously different schools and different districts react differently to that. But it was really interesting because I did continue going through, and I had one teacher who I actually is the teacher in my books that helped me kind of overcome that. I just struggled with comprehending. I wasn't connecting real world to my academics. And that's statistically shown to be one of the major reasons why kids fall behind is because they're like, I don't understand why I need this. So you're not interested. You don't put in the time. And that's definitely, I think, reflecting now, that I've gone through an elementary education curriculum and things. That's what I've kind of gathered of my struggles. And it eventually did click because I'm also a people pleaser and I didn't want to let my teachers down. So I worked a little bit harder. But I was often just seen as falling behind. So
I love the fact that you're aware of, you just said people pleaser, and you're how old, Kelly?
I'm 23.
23, and you graduated from the University of Central Florida in Orlando, correct?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Okay. I've spoken there many times in the past, so I know exactly what's going on that campus. A great place as well. Uh, Financial Rebellion, by the way, is we got to add this in. It's fun because we are big fans of where you bank, uh, business banking, like you've been talking about, your personal banking is a big deal to do money the financial rebellion way. And we're big fans of credit unions. There's a lot of great credit unions in Central Florida, where you live in Orlando, from Fairwinds Credit Union. I believe you said you're a member of Fairwinds, right?
Yes, I
Um, to even Addition Financial in Orlando, another great outfit. USF Credit Union, who has a branch now in Winter Park, and so
am.
many others. Space Coast and Mid Florida. There's a lot of great credit unions, even Suncoast Credit Union. But just want to shout out to the credit union world because we
Yeah.
talk a lot about them. All right, back to the piece you talked about being self-aware, which you said you can be a people pleaser, and so get to the point. This is what holds a lot of people back, and you know this. And we asked a lot of our guests about this. It is like there's a wall. There's this fake wall that people think is like, 10 feet thick. Like, I don't want to start this side hustle. I don't know if I want to start this business because what are other people going to think about me?
Yeah.
How did you overcome that, or are you still dealing with that? But I sense from you that you probably have kind of dealt with that and you're like, I don't give a rip anymore. So speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, well, in all honesty, I do go through moments where I'm like, oh, maybe, like I do have doubt, because I don't want to let people down, right? And so that's something that I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this anymore. I don't know. I'm trying to overcome that, and I don't know if I ever will, but I'm actively practicing tools to try, right? Like, so something I always say when people ask me like, "Oh, well, how did you know it was the right time?" or whatever that is, there's never going to be a right time. You're always going to have an excuse, and I've done that too. I There's been times where I have excuses too, but I do believe if there's a will, there's a way. And if you're not willing to just do it, then maybe you aren't ready, right? Like you have to just go and move forward, and that's something that took me a long time to realize, and I'm actively still working on remembering that, but it is something that I just think needs to happen, and people need to hear is that if there's a will, there is a way.
Holly, it's great because you have that awareness. Again, I use that word awareness, and there's no journey to perfection of where you have
Mhm.
zero. Uh, Man, what is that? Is that going to be a bad deal if I do that, or is that person? Am I going to let that? So, but just having that awareness, you can counter that right with, wait a minute, what am I worried about? And that's the deal.
Yeah.
So we have
Well,
so many people that are doing money the financial rebellion way and starting businesses that finally realize, you know what? People don't care as much as I think they care. Why am I renting space in my head? Because they're just in fact, they're my cheerleaders. And then whoever is not, they're not in your friend group anyway. So you'll find that out, but it's not as big of a group as people may think.
yeah, and failure is how we learn, and that's something I'm so big on teaching through my kids. Like every kid, when I do programs and things like that, I ask them, hey, what's your biggest takeaway? They always say, I learned that it's good to fail. Failure has such like a negative, like, I don't know the term, but like connotation associated with it,
Connotation.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it should be positive because we are nowhere without failing first. Do you think a pen was created overnight? Like, again, back to the reinvention thing. We probably started with drawing with rocks, right? And then we like moved our way up to a pencil, a pen. Like, things aren't going to always work out, and you just have to be able to accept that. I'm sure you started Financial Rebellion because you failed, right? Like, I trust people who have failed 5 times more than I trust someone who said that they've never have.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time. You are hitting on some gems of advice in what you're doing. I hope there's people listening. I hope there's, I don't know, maybe individuals who have done well and say, wait a minute, I want to support this business. This is exactly what youth need in the world of social media and our phones and like you said, dialed up with that statistic. Can you say it again? Something about from age, the genius. mindset or whatever. I was like 99%, and then it started to decline rapidly as
Yeah.
as the children went through school. Can you repeat that again?
Yeah, so and this was a study conducted by Lego Education actually, and so you can look into all of it. But at age 4, 98% of kids show genius level imagination, and as you work your way through the school system, when you get to age 21, right? So like through college, even only 2% show it. Still, only 2% still possess that. So that's a big jump and not a lot of your life, honestly, right? It's around it's less than 20 years. So,
That's
how
crazy.
do we get because you're learning a specific task rather than letting your imagination help you fix things.
Okay, Kelly, I'm going to ask a question that you're like, yep, we're on it. Is your product, your kits, the reading material? I mean, it's a beautiful product that can be in elementary schools everywhere to bring that statistic to elementary schools and middle schools. So is that the goal then ultimately?
Yeah, so my long-term goal is to kind of put on a district-wide competition, right? So you compete, maybe it's a year-over-year activity, something you do in second grade. Uh, you go through the invention, you compete in your classroom, you compete school-wide, and then someone's selected to move on to the district level, right? But right now, the easiest way I'm kind of finding an in is through homeschooling parents, just kind of, validating what I'm doing, building up the credibility, as well as after school care programs are mainly what I'm working with currently. But yeah.
Yeah. And with COVID, as you know, the acceleration of homeschooling is rapid, and
Hmm.
we homeschool some of our children as well, and big fan of that as well. So, okay, you homeschool conventions. You probably know about those. They're all over, and word of
Hmm.
mouth. Um, I could spend this podcast. We try and limit to about 25 to 27 minutes. But Kelly, you really have something here, and you would not believe how word of mouth from homeschooling organizations and communities can grow, but also it's a slower sale to get into, say, Hillsborough County education system, right, or Orange
Hmm.
County and Orlando. But if you get in there, it might take you a year to get your curriculum in there, but it's worth it at least
Yeah.
to start because who wouldn't want your material to? It's gonna it's gonna be a win-win for the children on other aspects of math and science. They're just going to do better because this material excites them. So um,
Thank you.
I don't know. I'm excited for you.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
And then as you go through this, what's the biggest thing that you've learned about yourself since you've started this a few years ago?
Ooh, that's a big question. Kind of thinking through it a little bit. I think something that I've learned about myself is I am my own level of smart. And I don't really know how else to word that, but like even I saw a mentor the other day when I was showing her my kits. I went back to my hometown and I just wanted to kind of like go through it. And she said to me, I've known her since I was 7 or 8, maybe. And she goes, I didn't realize you were that smart. And I just laughed and I said, me either, honestly. Like, and I still don't. I still have a lot of moments of doubt. Like, am I the right person to do this? Am I right to be the CEO right now? And the honest answer is no. I don't think I'm ready to be a CEO, but am I figuring it out? Yes. Um, but I think it's, being honest with myself is something I've really had to do and know that it's okay to not be 100%. And like I said, it's something I'm still working on, but I've realized that I am more than I thought I was.
It's a beautiful answer, and it's the truth, though. Smart is such a funny word, right?
Mhm.
And intelligence is another funny word. IQ, all that stuff. It just takes grit. And I want to commend you for the grit that you've just powered through. Uh, I- you seem brilliant to me, to be honest, and you're just learning. You're just so.
I have a lot
By
to
the way,
learn.
if you well, yeah, of course, you're 23, but look where you started. And the worst case scenario, Kelly, if this doesn't go the way you hoped it to, there's going to be another fork in the road. You're like, oh, I can do this because based on that experience, I've got the confidence to do that. So,
Mhm.
and
100.
so before we wrap up, then, I sounds like what is the part of the job that you like to do the most? Because a CEO can be organizational, or a CEO can be just the face of the company, which still is a kind of uh, a sales position. And I always tell people we're all in sales, and
Mhm.
you're just selling your passion. So where do you flourish inside of Innovation Station
Yeah,
the
so
most?
I definitely accelerate the most with the creating side. That's who I am. I'm a, you know, I, well, what's funny is like I do consider myself more creative now, but I'm not a good artist. I have terrible handwriting. Like, but I think there's different ways to be creative too, which is something I've definitely learned. And that's probably my favorite side of things is like creating something that I hope will be someone's core memory one day.
Fantastic. Okay, where can viewers, listeners get more information to learn about you and Innovation Stations? They can follow along, and for those who are fired up, show Kelly some love here. This is great. I mean, I know that people have to be like, "This is a great. This is not only a great invention, but this business has legs, Kelly." So, where can they find you and follow you and what you're doing?
Yeah, so you can follow me. All of my websites and social media handles are actually the same. So it's Innovation Station Kits, KITS. So innovationstationkits.com.
InnovationStationKits.com. Love it. Well, this episode of Financial Rebellion, where we again help people become smarter about money, investing in business. And if you haven't subscribed to the free weekly email newsletter called Financial Rebellion, just visit financial-rebellion.com. We're going to feature Kelly in that one of the upcoming issues of Financial Rebellion that goes out to thousands of people across the country. And Kelly, you're going to be seen in there, and so is Innovation Station, and also on our YouTube channel at Financial Rebellion. And again, we're big fans of credit unions. From I love it that you're with Fairwinds Credit Union in Orlando to the other great credit unions in Central Florida that basically need to start reaching more 18 to 34-year-olds. It's a really big need and challenge, and we can help them um, basically differentiate themselves in banks because a lot of people, Kelly, has still have no idea what the difference between a credit union and a bank is.
Yeah, 100%. So thank you. Thank you guys for all that you do.
Thanks for coming on, Kelly. You are welcome, and look forward to following your journey as well. And if we can help you in any way, let us know. All right, that's the episode today of Financial Rebellion. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you all in the next episode of Financial Rebellion.